Chris, what is our fourth main topic today?
Our fourth topic comes from Garry Madigan. Hey crew, hope you're all keeping well. As you know, Squid Game very quickly became the most popular series on Netflix in just 12 days. While it's been talked about, Netflix put out a video confirming that the hit series will be in fact returning for a second season. While I felt it was a perfect as a miniseries, Netflix, especially with all that's going on with them, would have been crazy not to capitalize on the hype of the show. What are your thoughts on the series returning? And do you think it'll have the same intrigue as season 1? Thanks for bringing on the filthy.
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, Gary. So Squid Game, listen, I admit I'm not as big on Squid Game as a lot of people, though. I did binge the whole thing in 3 days. Like, I enjoyed it. It's quite good. Very much Battle Royale, Hunger Games, like all that kind of feeding on that popular trope, whatever. But it was fun to watch, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Again, I don't think it's the greatest thing in the world, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. I see this totally becoming the new Saw, where, each Saw movie became about, it's the same story. It's just people go to see it to see what are the new traps. What are the new traps people have to get out of? And I think you're kind of looking at the same thing with Squid Games. It's just going to be kind of the same idea, but now it's going to be, what are the games going to be that they have to survive? And I'll tell you what, one big problems with Squid Game was this. The premise was the quote unquote villains behind it had this strong sense of fairness. That was the whole driving principle, right? Like they even killed their own when they fixed the rules to be. No, this is about fairness because there is no fairness in society, and this is gonna be about fairness. I'm like, yeah, but you're the same guys who didn't let the contestants know at the beginning when you let them vote on whether to do or not. Oh, by the way, there's only gonna be one survivor. They kind of made it sound like everybody could. If you all survive, you all win. The game was rigged, and yet anyway, that's one thing. Look. Squid Game became the biggest thing Netflix had ever put on air. It caught on around the world like wildfire. Them doing a second one was a no-brainer of all no-brainers. And now it is completely official. This comes to us from the good folks over at Joe Blow, who wrote the following. Squid Game was lightning in a bottle. Who could have predicted that this subtitled Korean series would become a worldwide phenomenon dominating pop culture for weeks after its fall of 2021 debut? It's one of those shows whose success is hard to duplicate, and in a move that shouldn't surprise anyone, Netflix officially announced yesterday that Squid Game Season 2 is on its way. In a letter to fans posted by Netflix, showrunner Dong-hyuk revealed some of the first details about the show. Among the reveals were the fact that star Lee Jung-Jae will return as the lead Ji-hyun, while also frontman who Korean megastar Lee Byung-hun played is also set to return, in addition to some new characters. Chris, it's official. I mean, obviously, nobody on this planet did not think they were going to do a season 2 of Squid Game. But it is now official. Do you think a season 2 can replicate that incredible success of the first? Will the novelty have worn off, or will it just bring in all new fans for it? How do you see this playing out?
Well, it's that magic in the bottle thing, right? Can you put the genie back in there? Kind of like what we were talking about with Knives Out before, too.
Right.
There's a lot of expectation placed on this, especially when it was, oh my gosh, this is so shocking.
Right.
We've seen that work to an extent with other franchises, like the Saw films, where it's then constantly upping the ante, right? But does it ultimately then just become this kind of copy of a copy? And ultimately, at the end, you have this kind of weird, blurry image that doesn't stack up to the original. That's the fear here. I do think if Netflix does what they seem to do best, which is cancel shows very quickly, if this is, we're only going to do a second or third season, and they really, really stick to how the original show came about, have those same writers in the room, keep the story at its core of what it's supposed to be about, really these people in very dire circumstances willing to just risk their lives to get out of debt, which is a horrifying concept that's way too relatable. I mean, I think as long as that is the thrust of this show and not how do we make people come back and be obsessed with it and do all of this, I don't know. It just seems like the odds are against them, but I have high hopes, if that makes sense.
Rob, I mean, the ending of season 1 was a total open door for where they could go with the story. So obviously, I'm not going to ask you if you're surprised they're coming back. Obviously, everybody knew they would. But same question to you. Can they recapture that lightning in a bottle of season 2? Do you think people will come back en masse for it? How do you see this playing out?
Oh, I think Chris is absolutely right. They have their work cut out for them. This is because one of the great things about Squid Game was the mystery. and how the storyline did not go in the direction you thought it was going to go. When you were in this scenario, they constantly threw things at you didn't expect. So the show was full of oh shit moments. And that's a hard thing to do, because now that you know what the game is and you know everything that they do to you, if they're going to bring back, I mean, it is going to be called Squid Game. So they have to essentially, it's kind of like the Hunger Games, John. I thought when I was reading the book, The Hunger Games, I'm like, this is really intriguing, and seeing where this is all going to go and who's going to survive. And then, of course, when it became a thing, Catching Fire was written. You know, she has to. But when I read Catching Fire, I'm like, the novelty of Hunger Games, it was fine in the sequels, and I didn't like Mockingjay, the book. This is kind of the same thing. I mean, I don't see Squid Game being the phenomenon in season 2 that it was in season 1, because so much of what made Squid Game was the discovery of all of that.
Right.
The whole thing, everything about it was intriguing. Now, that's not to say that can't be duplicated, but the guy our creator of Squid Game, worked on this for like 10 years and had time to work it out. Now, call me crazy, I don't think he's worked on a sequel for 10 years. He's like, there's some big money to be made here. So who's going to say no? He's not going to say no, but I think it's going to be really difficult. I hope in the case of Battle Royale, there was Battle Royale 2 Requiem, and the less said about that, the better.
Yeah, I actually never even watched the second one, to be honest, because I heard it was just that bad.
If you'd like, I could loan you my Blu-ray.
That's fine. I'm good. All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Squid Game season 2 is coming. No brainer. Did you enjoy the first season? Did you love it? Are you looking forward to the second one? Maybe you're thinking the novelties weren't off. Maybe you think the best is yet to come. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, HelloFresh. Let me take a second to tell you why my wife Ann and I love HelloFresh. As two working professionals, at the end of the day, it can be tough to get dinner together, and HelloFresh saves us loads of time, money, and most importantly, gives us great tasting and nutritious meals. And no joke, with the easy to follow along instructions, Ann and I actually have a blast cooking dinner together. And they're so foolproof, even I can do it alone when Ann's not there. And HelloFresh now has over 30 dinner recipes to choose from every single week. That is the most choices of any meal kit out there. Customize your favorite dishes with new Hello Custom offerings by swapping out one protein or side for another, upgrading for a more luxe experience, or even adding protein to a veggie meal. So guys, right now, go to hellofresh.com/Campea16 and use the code Campea16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. Once again, that's hellofresh.com/Campea16. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.